Hello, everybody. Welcome back to RPG Review. We've done 3 of these.
Yeah.
This is the 4th one. We are going to talk about a system that is different in setting from the other ones we've talked about. The other ones have all been fantasy. We did 5e, 2e Pathfinder, and the Burning Wheel. And we are going to talk about Shadowrun today, which is very different in a lot of ways. And in fairness, the one that I know the least about, and probably the one that you know the least about, out of the 4 that we've talked about.
So I have not played Shadowrun. I have read the book.
Yeah.
Multiple times. I have seen actual plays of Shadowrun.
You probably know people who've played it before.
I do.
Or have.
I am gonna be upfront that I'm not a fan of Shadowrun off the bat.
But we're trying to be as objective about this as we can.
Again, my favorite game is lowest on the board right now.
Yes.
My favorite RPG of all time is significantly lower than anything else.
Yes. And might stay that way for a while.
Yes.
Until April.
Yeah, until April.
So I guess we can just get into it. I was gonna say, like, get it over with, but that's the wrong word.
Yeah.
If you like Shadowrun, I'm sorry. I've never played it. I don't know anything about Shadowrun except what I looked up to help make this video.
And did it entice you?
In theory, but I don't think in practice.
Yeah.
I kind of like cyberpunk stuff. I definitely like sci-fi stuff.
Oh, I love the
genre. I don't think I would enjoy playing it like this, and it's crunchy, and I don't like crunchy. And yet, I'm going to play Burning Wheel again sometime. I'm going to try that again sometime, but only for you! Because you love it, and I love you.
For me.
For you. This is all for you. Anyway, let's talk about Shadowrun. What's Shadowrun? I don't know. You tell me. What is it?
Shadowrun is a cyberpunk RPG.
They have, like, body mods and stuff, right? Like, robot bits?
Body modification, corporation stuff is a big...
Yeah, that's a big one in Cyberpunk.
Imagine, like, Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, if it weren't bad.
The better tabletop game version of Cyberpunk 2077.
And it kind of combines, like, science and, magic.
Yeah, which is always fun. I do love a setting that combines science, tech, and magic.
Urban fantasy is great.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I love this genre in theory. Like I said, I don't think I would like it in practice just because I love this stuff when I'm reading about it or listening to it. I don't super love playing it. It's kind of my hang-up here. Who thought this was a good idea? Who made this game? I like that segue into it. This was a good idea.
Yeah.
Whether genuinely or sarcastically.
So, it is called the FASA Corporation.
Yeah. It's changed hands a lot of times. At least, like, 2 or 3.
Was the initial.
Yeah.
FASA Corporation. I think being designed by a corporation is funny.
Yeah, it's a little funny. It's been passed through the hands of several different corporations. Like, the rights to it have been transferred several different times. They've been lost and reacquired by different branches of the same thing that created it at the start.
Yeah.
From everything that I understand. It's changed hands. A lot of things have changed. It's in its 6th edition now, right?
Yes.
Is it 6
Shadowrun
or 9?
60 is what this is.
I don't remember. There are a lot of them. But it's not... 5e also is not the 5th edition, so, like, it's fine.
You know what's funny? Burning Wheel, my favorite game.
Mm-hmm.
I forget this sometimes. Started as a mod of Shadowrun.
Wait, really? For real?
Yes.
That's so funny. I didn't know that.
Apparently.
Apparently.
That is unconfirmed.
Mm-hmm. But alleged.
But allegedly, yes. Because they're both D6 systems.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Wild. So, yeah, it's changed hands a lot. Is this one cooperative?
Yeah, actually.
Okay. More than Burning?
It's actually more than D&D 5e,
in
my experience.
Cool. Okay.
You are supposed to be a group of runners.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to work together, for the most part. You can. It's not impossible to not do.
Yeah.
A party. But it's recommended.
That's fair. This one's crunchy. I'm putting all the dice in my mouth as we speak. I can put several dice in my mouth. A lot of dice. A lot of them.
So it is very crunchy. Undeniably so.
Yeah.
Not Burning Wheel, but a little
crunch.
crunchier than Pathfinder.
Yeah. Definitely crunchier than 5e.
Yeah, definitely crunchier than 5e. It has its crunch to it.
Yeah.
It is probably the next step up from Pathfinder if you're really cutting your teeth on crunchy RPGs.
Okay. And then Grimdark scale, light dark. I assume this one's kind of dark because
Kinda
Cyberpunk
dark,
is kind
yeah.
of dark.
Yeah, so Cyberpunk
Generally.
is kind of dark.
Just kind of by the base of the genre,
Yeah. It tends to lean darker. You can do more bright, hopeful stuff, but
It's closer to Grimdark than it is to, like, ooh.
yes.
It's not flower crowns and fairies and stuff.
No, it's very
Sparkles and stuff,
Yeah.
all that. Sparkles and skirts that go spinny.
yeah.
How do you... This is a D6 system.
Yeah, so
This is a D6. You
it's
said
D6
that
and you have a
already.
pool of D6s, which is
okay.
similar to Burning Wheel.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, not exactly the same.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it is not a class system. It is more skill-based, again, kind of like Burning Wheel.
Okay, yeah.
There's some similarities between the two, which is funny that I really love one and I really am not a fan of the other.
Yeah. And we're gonna try, like I said, not to be biased about that.
Yeah.
We've tried to rate this as objectively as possible, except for the fun meter.
Give you a spoiler. This ranks higher than Burning Wheel.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of ratings, let's talk about where we're at on the
Yeah,
categories.
I think we're gonna move on to
Let's
that.
talk about the categories. I think we've said everything we need to say.
So, yeah.
Concept.
9 out of 10.
Nah,
I love it.
it's pretty original. It's
It is.
pretty. It's pretty standard. Yeah.
And I might
it's up
be
there.
talking out of my ass here.
Yeah.
One of, if not the first, cyberpunk RPG.
Yeah.
Tabletop RPG. I don't know if it or cyberpunk come first.
Yeah.
I think cyberpunk comes first.
Probably.
But it is...
It's impactful and original.
And it is also the biggest non-fantasy RPG in the world.
By a lot.
Yes. It is cool. I mean, cyberpunk is just objectively a cool concept.
It is. It's super cool. It's not a knock on Shadowrun, nor is it a knock on Cyberpunk.
And it being cyberpunk with fantasy races and with magic, combining the two together like
I love that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
in the setting that I made, in the setting for the show we're gonna make someday that this channel is funding. I tried my absolute best to integrate magic and technology, and I think it turned out pretty well. For someone who doesn't know how to write this stuff.
And looking at it, I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is a 10 out of 10 on a concept?
Yeah. It's very hard to attain. This is about as close as it gets, I think, without...
This is... there'll be some game one day...
Yeah.
That gets a 10 out of 10.
It's not this one, but it's close.
I think I know what it is, but that is a spoiler for later.
I'm excited to find out. I don't know. Yeah, okay. So 9 out of 10. I think this is about as close to a 10 as it gets.
Yeah.
Which is fair. What are we looking at for cost of entry on this one?
So, 9 out of 10, actually.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
It is similar vein to Pathfinder,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not over the top expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look up right now what the Shadowrun 6e core book calls for.
Yeah.
As far as price.
Mm-hmm.
It sells for about $40.
Okay, which is not bad at all.
There's
probably some other stuff you need.
There are definitely some other things. There are definitely some expansions, but all you really need to start playing the game is just the 6e core book.
Okay.
So you need $40.
Yeah,
which
not
is
bad.
considerably better than $150 for D&D.
Yeah. Cost of entry is pretty low, so we're 9 and 9. We're at 18. Talking about player ease and GMEs after that. This is where we get into the crunch.
6.
Okay.
So I say with most games that are crunchy, once you learn it, you know it.
Yeah. This one, little bit of a learning curve. It seems like.
So especially, and I always just player ease. I'm coming in from D&D.
Yeah, from 5e.
Because that's how you'll get into. That's how most people get in. They'll play 5e and they'll learn about other games from there.
Yeah.
Understanding that it's not a class system is a really rough adjustment for some people.
It is, yeah.
There are archetypes which are helpful. And archetypes actually is what makes it a 6, not a 5.
Okay.
Kind
of a baseline to refer to.
Yeah. And just having this base, like,
kind of gives you an idea of what you can do with your character.
Yes.
Which is helpful.
Yeah, and just all of these various, like, skill rolls and various skills. It can be a lot of overwhelming.
Yeah.
As well as then figuring out the race stuff and the magic stuff. Are you doing magic, technology?
Both somehow.
Yeah, what is your thing, and also what is your gimmick as a group? What is your goal as a group? It can be pretty overwhelming for players, but also, once you have it down, there's not a lot to learn once you have the basics.
Yeah, okay. And then GMEs, kind of on the flip side of that coin.
It's about a 4.
Yeah.
4 of 10.
So a little lower.
Again,
couple stages lower.
Once you learn it,
that takes more effort than a player. Which is, I think, true of most games, in fairness.
A Burning Wheel, for context, is a 3.
Yeah.
It takes some effort to learn.
Yeah. But I feel like there's a little more direction that you can...
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes sense, because Burning Wheel, we talked about that on the other video. Go watch the other video. Go watch all of the other videos in this series, and also all the ones on our channels. The Burning Wheel one, it's, like, basically entirely improv.
Yeah.
This is, I assume there's more direction.
Yeah, you can plan more for this. It's not...
Which is probably what makes that difference.
Yeah, it's... Once you get the hang of it, it does run really smooth. Just starting things, especially starting new campaigns.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's not the easiest. It's not the easiest thing to do.
It's one of the few games that I say I don't feel equipped to run.
Yeah.
Having read the book, having watched some actual plays of it,
you don't feel like you could run it.
Played it, I don't feel equipped to run.
That's fair. So I feel like this is also going to be one that's probably kind of low flexibility.
So it's
this one's... Oh, is it not as bad as I think it is?
It's 7 out of 10.
Oh, that's definitely better than I thought. I thought it was pretty restrictive.
So it is kind of locked into that sci-fi.
Okay.
The base of
the cyberpunk setting.
Cyberpunk setting.
Is this kind of like Burning Wheel, where like there's a ton of room within that?
Yeah, there's some wiggle room. Not as much wiggle room as some other games.
Okay.
But you can incorporate so many tropes of fantasy and so many tropes of sci-fi into this, and so many tropes of urban fantasy that even if you don't have, you couldn't run a fantasy game in this.
Yeah.
You couldn't run Star Wars in this.
Yeah.
But
you could run something with a lot of tropes from in it.
And most things you could run in World of Darkness, I think you
okay.
could run.
Interesting.
This.
Yeah.
I think
so. There's some room.
You could feasibly adapt something like Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Without losing too much.
That's fair.
In translation.
Mm-hmm. There's some things that you can translate better than others.
That is until the much vaunted Vampire Diaries tabletop role playing game does come out.
Yeah.
In which case it will supersede Shadowrun in popularity.
Yeah. For sure. Definitely. That's what's gonna happen.
I need to, just real quick, make sure that doesn't exist.
Okay, yeah, you should make sure that doesn't exist. I don't want to come off as, like, super offensive.
Oh my god, it
does. Does it? Does it? Oh my god, really?
Okay,
we need to play this now.
No, okay, sorry.
Okay.
It is a roleplay forum.
Oh, okay.
There's a roleplay forum.
That's very, very different. Those are very different things.
It is not a tabletop RPG, there's a roleplay forum. We're fine.
Okay, good.
It is not...
We're spared from that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Subscribe to our Patreon, where we'll be making...
The Vampire Diaries tabletop RPG! Please don't make me do that. Please don't make me write that.
Yeah,
Please. I don't care how much you pay me, I'm not right. That's not true. If you paid me enough, I would.
So our $1 million tier on Patreon is we'll write the Vampire Diaries RPG.
You have to keep paying it every month.
Yes.
You have to pay it every month until it's done. We will draw that out as long as possible. As long as is reasonable and feasible, so that we can milk that for all it's worth. I don't think that's ever actually going to happen. We will write it if it does.
And you pay us $1 million and...
You pay me $1 million, I will do almost anything.
The thing about it is, it would be so dumb to design.
Yeah.
When Vampire the Masquerade exists.
Yeah. But I think it would be funny, so...
Yes, which we will review in the future.
We will review in the future. We're going to review all that stuff.
We can't review it in the past.
Nope. We've already done everything we've done in the past. So talking about variety now.
Yeah, 8 of 10.
Okay.
I have it here.
Yeah.
Not having classes helps its case.
That's fair. Classes sometimes get more restrictive than free.
Again, I don't like how restrictive 5e's classes are.
That's fair.
For example.
Yeah. Pathfinders do a pretty good job.
They have not a ton of race options, but it's certainly not limited.
Mm-hmm.
And the homebrew community is actually surprisingly sparse.
Huh.
Not like dead, but...
But not Pathfinder.
Yeah, not Pathfinder, not 5e, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of interesting things to do as far as you can have two characters that are sneaky or that are powerhouses that function entirely differently because it's not like making two rogues and two fighters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, there could be more flexibility. Especially, there could be more races.
Yeah.
It's not a small number.
No.
I'm gonna actually pull up real quick.
How many?
Exactly how many.
Yeah, that's good to do. We're doing all this research live on this recording.
We've done a lot of researches beforehand.
That's true. We just didn't look up this stuff. How many are there as of right now?
Let's see.
We're gonna do some Googling for you guys. We're gonna make this as Googleable as possible. Google heavy.
Yes.
This is a Google RPG now. We're gonna make a tabletop RPG that centers around Google searches. Pay me $1 million. I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. $1 million a month for a year. That's $12 million. I will make a Google-themed RPG somehow.
It's actually vaguely hard to find the
That's
information
dumb.
of how many are available.
I'm finding the information by beaming it directly
So,
into my brain.
dwarf, elf, human, orc. There's a troll. There are some varied other races.
Okay.
It's kind of more open to. There's what's called metas, I believe, meta types.
Okay. Which are kind of like sub-races, or?
Yeah, it's complicated.
Oh, okay.
There are a lot of options, especially throughout all various things, but in 60 specifically, there aren't an overwhelming amount of race options. But it's not as limited as.
But it goes deeper than that. Yeah.
Deeper than Burning Wheel.
Okay.
I am kind of showing a bit of egg on my face here because I don't know 100% how many races it has because I don't have the book open in front of me.
That's fair.
Because it is hard to do that to bring a book into the studio.
Yes, it is. It's also hard to afford all of the source books for this because while the cost of entry may be low on some of these, there are a lot of these that we're recording.
Yeah.
And that stacks up.
Finding out the exact number of races on me, I should have figured that out beforehand, but...
It's fine. We'll put it in the description or something. Or I'll put it on the screen, maybe. Popularity.
9 out of 10.
Yep. It's the second highest.
There's not really much discussion here. It's number 2 on popularity ranks.
It's a lot lower, but it's a lot higher than everything else.
Yep. It's basically...
It's like a 10th of 5e's popularity.
If it's not a 9, nothing is a 9.
That's fair.
And I want there to be room for something at every number on this list.
Yes.
10 is D&D. 0 is some sort of game that is currently being designed by one person in his basement.
Yeah. Maybe that'll get popular someday.
Yeah, this is a 9.
Okay. Replay value. What do you think about that one?
So, replay value-wise, I have it at a 10 out of 10.
Okay. We've had a lot that are really replayable, which is nice.
So you're going to run out of replay value
later
when we start getting into PBTA games.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or games with more repetitive class stuff.
Yes.
I think it is great. I think that because of the skill system especially, there are so many different little archetypes you can make. And so many little various things you can explore.
Okay.
And so many different ways you can tweak the setting, ways you can affect how characters and plot lines interact. It's not necessarily like a brand new experience every time you start a campaign.
But there's a ton of variety still.
Yeah, as long as as long as you like Cyberpunk.
Yeah. And as long as you don't make the same single thing every time, you're gonna have room for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Cool. Okay. Fun. Obviously this one's subjective.
I have it at an 8.
Okay.
It's not... And again...
It might not be fun for us, but overall.
Yeah, and again, so coming from someone who hasn't fully played the game.
Yeah.
Who's just seen it and read the book.
You've seen actual play. You've talked to people.
It is a bit too formula for me.
That's fair.
I mean, maybe that's just the people I've watched.
Maybe.
But...
if you have a different experience with that, tell us in the comments. Tell us how fun you think this game is. Rate this yourself. Especially because we don't know a ton about Shadowrun. Feel free to put your own ratings.
Have a discussion with us in the comments.
Yeah. Tweet at the Penitent. It's _Penitent College of Lore. Or COL.
COL, yeah. Yeah, basically, I think it's a great time. I think you can have a lot of fun with it. Obviously, it's very popular. A lot of people like it.
Mm.
It's not necessarily immediately my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I think it's objectively a fun game, and it is not a bad time at all. We say in our ranked...
If it's that popular, I highly doubt it would be that bad.
Yeah. We say in our ranked video, all of these are good, and I think much in the same way, all of these are also good.
Yeah. It's just a matter of what your personal taste is, how much you like crunch, how much you like things being streamlined, how much you like different styles of play. Do you like dungeon crawls? Do you like RP specifically? Do you like exploration? How much room is there for each of these things in each of these different kinds of games?
How much you buy into the aesthetic. And...
Yes. Yeah, the aesthetic is also definitely a big one. Like we said, this is kind of a big departure from the other stuff we've talked about. All the other stuff is pretty much medieval fantasy as a baseline, with very little adaptation in most of them. Some, none. Burning Wheel, basically none. This is a big deviation from that. This is the first one we've hit on so far that really has a lot of futuristic themes by default.
Yeah, really the first one that is not... Yeah, that isn't fantasy at all.
Yeah.
And
it is fantasy, but it's super high-level fantasy, which is very different. And so obviously that makes a difference. If you like a traditional fantasy RPG, you may not have a ton of fun with this. If you really like cyberpunk and you're barely willing to branch out into fantasy, this might be more your scene as a way to kind of touch on that without going too far into the medieval stuff that you're not really a fan of.
Yeah.
So fun is always going to be subjective on these lists. This is a very different kind of game than the rest of the ones we've reviewed in some ways.
Yeah.
It's also not that different in others.
If you like crunch, you will love... Yeah.
If you like crunch and you like cyberpunk, this is the game for you.
Yeah.
If you can even tolerate crunch and you like cyberpunk, this is a game for you, probably.
If you are not the biggest fan of crunch and you are not the biggest fan of cyberpunk,
you should probably play something else.
Yeah.
You should 5E's right there. And there are going to be a ton of other games that we talk about that will maybe be better for that sort of thing. I know there are some games we're going to talk about that are even lighter on crunch than 5E. And there are going to be some games we talk about that are, like Burning Wheel, very much a headache to learn.
Yeah.
And maybe worse in some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that said, we talked about fun. The last one on the board is quality.
7.
Okay, is that the lowest?
Yes, it is noted by multiple people that aren't just me that there are typos in a lot of the released books.
That sucks.
There are errors.
That would drive me crazy. I am the kind of person who, when I was in elementary school, you know how they talk about a bunch of neurodivergent kids being all the kids who were I was a pleasure to have in class as a child. I was not. I annoyed my teachers because I would point out the typos in their assignment sheets all the time. I was that kind of kid. Typos drive me insane, especially when they're from professionally produced stuff. I will catch them in books and I'm like, how did this happen? How did your editors let this through? You have a process for this. You have spell check. That drives me crazy. So if there's a book like that, I automatically just I don't want to buy it. It's a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Which is why this gets rated lower.
And there are some balancing issues, some minor design quirks that I don't necessarily agree with, and some problems with streamlining.
Yeah.
But the big thing that gets to the downmark here is the errors.
Yeah. Which can sometimes make an impact on things. And, we've said this in some other videos, this is not about the quality of the game, this is about the quality of the materials you use to play the game, your reference stuff.
Yes.
And if that's low quality, that's what gets docked here, which I think is a relevant category to have.
And it reads a little awkwardly.
Yeah.
I'll talk about later.
It messes... I have trouble reading long things as it is. I don't need things that are full of typos that make it harder for me.
I'll talk later about Apocalypse World. It is an example of a book that is well written, but reads horribly.
Yeah.
It doesn't read as bad as Apocalypse World, but it does read bad.
Not great. Yeah.
And if you're wondering about my take about that, you'll have to wait until the review of Apocalypse World.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that at some point, too. I don't know what we're doing after this. We're going to find out.
I do.
Oh, what are we doing after this? What's the next one after this one?
The next 4 I actually have planned.
Oh, you have the next... Wow, you're definitely ahead of me on this front.
Yes.
Anyway. We don't need to spoil all of that right now.
Yeah, you can find out later.
I will find out later. Everyone else can find out later. So that's all the categories. What are we looking at for scoreboard? What's our score on this one, and then what's our scoreboard check?
It adds up unless I'm stupid.
I checked your math, so you don't get to call yourself stupid, because then I would also be stupid, and I used a calculator.
To a 7, or...
Oh, shit. Maybe you really are bad at math.
A 77 out of 100.
We got a 7 on this one, boys. Maybe you did do the math wrong.
Yeah.
Did you rewrite it after I was done?
No, a 77 of 100.
Okay.
Which puts it currently in 3rd place, just below Pathfinder with 81.
Yep.
And just above Burning Wheel Gold with 72.
Alright.
3rd place on our board.
Obviously, 5e is still first, with 85.
Yes.
85, 81, 77, 72. This sitting at 3rd. Which is not bad.
No. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the game, and my bias is probably showing a little bit. I think that just...
But also, you love Burning Wheel more than anything, and it's last place. So
yes.
We're doing okay on that front, I think. I think we're trying our best to be professional and objective, and we're doing okay with that.
I agree.
I think we're doing okay. And obviously, a lot of this stuff is subjective. You know, if you're the kind of person who learns certain types of rule sets really easily, this might be not so bad. If you get a lot out of Cyberpunk, it might be more fun. And likewise, vice versa. If this kind of system is hard for you to learn, I had a hard time with D6 systems. I still have a hard time with D6 systems just because I'm really good at learning one thing and sticking to it, and deviating from that makes things much harder for me. I will always prefer the D20 system to anything else just because it's what I learned first.
Yes, and I will kind of acknowledge as we get kind of wrapped up here.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably one of our I'm not going to say this is bad content,
no.
But this might be one of our worst RPG reviews just because it's not something that either of us are passionate about.
Yeah, and that's okay. We're still going to review it, and we're still going to talk about it. The Burning Wheel one was probably the one that you were the most hyped for. Mm-hmm. It's already done.
I expressed to you before this that this is something I was dreading doing, the Shadowrun review.
But we did it for all of you, because it's relevant, because it's the second most popular RPG Google search.
Yes, we will do, at some point, all 15 on the top 15 most popular.
Yes. We'll get to them, eventually.
At some point, I am going to do a list based off of the top 15 most popular of...
how you would personally rank them.
Maybe.
Should we be doing that? Ranking all of the top 15? We should.
Maybe, we should. That's not a bad idea.
I think we should do the video sometime.
A video, yeah, I had was, top 10 games that aren't on the top 15 most searched.
Is Burning Wheel going to be at the top of that list?
Spoilers.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
I have at least heard of all of the top 15 except for one of them.
What is it? What's the one you haven't heard of?
I'm not going to try to pronounce it. It's third from the...
I don't know what that is. Yes,
yeah, it's German.
It's German. We don't know anything. If you speak German, translate that in the comments. Don't try to pronounce it. You're going to make a fool of yourself. Well, I'll put it on the screen. I'll put the text of the game on the screen. Yeah. Tell me how to pronounce that in the comments. I don't know anything.
I'm a little embarrassed that I don't know it.
I don't either. I probably know like 2 of them. Let me see the list. I'll tell you how many of them I know.
So, you know what? I'll leave it. I'll read it live.
Okay, yeah, read it to me.
D&D.
Yeah, I know
Shadowrun.
I know that one.
Starfinder.
I've heard of that one. I don't.
Pathfinder.
I know that one.
Call of Cthulhu.
Oh yeah, I know that one. We're gonna have to review that one sometime.
Star Wars RPG.
Like I knew it existed. I didn't know it was just called that.
Blades in the Dark.
I know that one vaguely.
Vampire the Masquerade.
I know that one.
Stars Without Numbers.
I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. What is Stars Without Numbers?
It is a it's a sci-fi RPG.
Oh, okay, cool. We shouldn't talk about it too much. We'll review it someday.
Yeah, a very political faction based, at least from what I've seen of how it's played.
That sounds kind of fun.
Powered by the Apocalypse games.
Yep, I know that one.
Kind of just lumped into one thing.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk. Specifically Cyberpunk Red.
I feel like I've heard of that, but I don't know anything else about it.
I believe, and research and cut this if I'm wrong, I believe that it is the same Cyberpunk 2077 base.
That sounds right to me. That sounds right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The German game that I cannot pronounce.
Yep, again, I will put that on the screen.
A game that I would actually rather not say because of the creators of the game.
That's fair.
And Warhammer.
Yeah. I know almost all of this. I knew more than I thought I would.
I know this is an RPG review, generally. There is a game that I'm sure a lot of you can figure out that I would rather not say the name of. That we are never going to do for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to... I know it's going to get recommended that we do it a bunch. I wanted to kind of get out of the way now that we're not...
Are you going to say the name so they know which one we're
going to do? Yeah, Dungeon World.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're still doing Fatal.
Yeah.
But that's specifically in the shitty games month.
Yeah, it is... And I'm not going to call Dungeon World a shitty game. It's a well-designed game.
Yeah.
But the fact that the creator of it is still kind of left the sphere of all this, but
Yeah. But still, if you don't know what we're talking about, you can probably find it on Google.
We're not discourse oriented.
Yeah, I'm gonna start shit about it, but Google it.
Yeah, and I really don't want to come after the creators here. I really don't want to start a war here.
Yeah. But we're not gonna review it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what we'll leave out. We're not gonna review that one. Don't request it, because we're not gonna do it because it makes us uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that's allowed. This is our channel.
Yeah, I imagine you'll trim some of that whole thing up in editing.
Probably, yeah.
TLDR, we're not gonna review the game because what's going on with the creators makes us uncomfortable.
Yep.
That being said...
Sorry for getting onto that at the end. I'm not actually sorry. It's important. It's relevant.
Shadowrun.
Shadowrun.
If you have an experience playing Shadowrun, if you have
we do.
a different opinion, which is absolutely fine. If you think that you want to share something that I got wrong or not necessarily exactly right,
yeah, tell us if we got anything wrong. Because, like I said, we didn't do a ton of looking stuff up for. We don't do a ton of looking stuff up for any of these because we kind of want to talk about it in our own views.
Yeah,
but if you got something, please tell us. If it's a really big deal, I'll either correct it in the description or pin your comment or both.
If there's a notable thing we got wrong, we will pin your comment. But I'd love to have a discussion about why you feel how you feel about Shadowrun.
And if you like it more than we do, tell us why, and maybe we'll think about trying it again sometime. Or trying it for the first time, I guess. Yeah, you can try to change our minds. You can tweet at us. You can talk to us in the comments. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts, as usual.
And we have an actual play channel.
Yep.
College of Lore Actual Play.
We have a shorts channel, College of Lore Shorts.
Check all 3 of those out, and...
we talk about a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
We might be adding more games to the College of Lore Actual Play someday.
Yeah,
not immediately. But someday, look out for maybe more games that are different systems. We might do Burning Wheel someday. So subscribe to that now so you'll know when it happens.
What would be crazy is if we got to 100,000 at some point.
If we get to 100,000 subscribers.
A 24-hour live stream playing different tabletop systems.
I think I would fall asleep. I think I would pass out. I'll try, though. I'll try, and I'll do a terrible
Alternatively, just one 24-hour D&D session.
Genuinely, I could probably pull it off, but, I would be so tired by the end.
The idea of making a bunch of characters pre-gen and doing,
just the longest one-shot ever. 24-hour one-shot.
Yeah.
It still counts, because you're doing it all in one go. I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna plan a 24-hour one-shot. Get us to 100,000 subscribers, we'll do it. 100k milestone. I promise. I genuinely promise.
Tell you what. Get us to 500,000.
Okay.
And I will do the impossible.
What will you do? 48-hour one-shot?
No. Worse than...
oh no, worse.
We will, as a team with other people brought in.
Yes. Our whole squad.
Consecutively run, back to back to back, every source module.
All at once without stopping?
Yes.
How?
One narrative train.
How? Without sleeping?
No,
Okay.
So, what I'm basing it off of is...
Okay, that was what I was scared of.
is something like Desert Bus.
Yeah.
Where we might switch off DMs between modules.
Okay.
We might switch off players of characters between modules.
That's fair.
Ideally, let's keep 1 or 2 of the characters from the last module in the same module.
Yeah.
Basically schedule it like that. And we'll talk specifics, but if you want to get us to 500,000, great milestone. Hard for this niche of a channel to get. We'd love to get there.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We
will do that.
Do a consecutive run.
That sounds super cool, actually. I would love to do that for
And we may reach out to other people in the community at that point.
Yeah. Give us reasons to do all this stuff. Thank you guys for coming to our RPG review of Shadowrun 6th edition.
Yeah, be sure to take care of your mental health.
We love you.
Send us chips.
Send us chips. Leave your comments, leave your questions, leave your own personal ratings of the system. As always.
Leave any comment you want, except, random trauma dumping in our...
Don't leave hate mail in our comments. That would be kind of mean.
Yeah.
I would cry. You don't want me to cry. I ugly cry so bad.
Don't leave hate mail and don't, vent or be horny on main in our comment section.
Please don't do either of those things. Please don't do either of those things. Yeah, great RPG, great talk, everybody. We'll see you all later.
Thank you for watching this video from College of Lore. Remember to like this video, subscribe to join the party, and have a fantastic adventure.